Hi, welcome back to my channel. I got a package in the mail. Jealous? But it's not addressed to me. It's addressed to the family of Harrison Miller. And I already opened it. But I do want to give this package to the people who it belongs to. So if you don't mind, I'll be right back. This is for you guys.
Thanks.
Wait, Harry! I forgot my line. You're in the Bay Area now.
But it's gonna be sped up. Pretty good, right? I'm back. The worst part is they didn't even want it. I went all that way for nothing. There's been a lot said about Andrew Tate. Most of it said by Andrew Tate. I'm going to make fun of him in this video, but in case that doesn't make my position clear, I do not like him. I think he is a bad person and a bad role model for young men. Whoa, look at me. I'm the Matrix. I'm green and falling down. I haven't seen the movies. If you do like Andrew Tate, you're probably not watching this video, or you're leaving a comment and then quickly dipping out, to which I say thank you for the engagement. Helps with the algorithm. If you need some inspiration for a comment, here's a few I've gotten before. Just be sure to make them your own, okay? But if you're young, and I'd say even people my age are young, and you do like Andrew Tate, I'd encourage you to engage with some content that is critical of him. For one, it's good to think about things you like and dislike and why you feel those ways. You will find parts you dislike in holes you like and vice versa. And just being able to identify that is a good part of being alive and refining your taste. More importantly, I like when people disengage from the manosphere because it's bad. And it hurts a lot of people, including the men who are in it. And a fair number of people who do disengage from that ideology do so because of creators like Feek the Signifier, Noah Samson, Khadijah Mbow, among others. And this video isn't quite that. There will be no citations or breakdowns, but I will hold up my copy of The Will to Change by Bell Hooks in solidarity with the people who are good at analysis community. I see you. Right now, Andrew Tate is in his weeb arc.
What are you guys doing? Oh, this you never seen it. No.
I don't know what else to call it. The shadows are all wrong. It's another way to get eyeballs. It's another way to bring new people into his audience. It brought him back onto my timeline, and it made me think about him again. All very unfortunate things. But looking at his Twitter profile again, this tweet caught my eye. I am a poet. I wrote this and 50 other poems as captions on my Instagram posts. All lost when my Instagram was deleted. His own private Library of Alexandria, gone, lost forever. And yes, that is one of my best impressions. I'd say it's up there with my George W. Bush speaking Spanish. Hola, mis americanos. Este fin de semana quiero ir a Texas y hablo con mi gato. But a poet is what he claims to be, a craftsman of verse and melody. His songs of life upon the page, the Bard of Avon for a modern age. And it's hard to be the Bard, I've heard it said. It's hard to be Andrew with a weird-shaped head. It's hard to be a poet when writers are held cheap. So let's hear his verse, with depths so deep.
I stole perfect beauty from her eyes. I watched pain drain it as she cried.
The speaker here paints dual portraits, one of himself and one of this mysterious her, who we'll hear more about as the poem progresses. Don't worry, the speaker does say far more about himself in this verse than anything else. Usually when there's some ambiguous pronoun usage, it's because it could apply to multiple things and thus change the reader's interpretation of the piece. Here, it serves to land the internal rhyme of pain and drain, which is such good imagery, a high schooler would get a passing grade on it. With pain being the thing draining the beauty from her, if he's the one who stole that beauty, we can only assume that he is inflicting pain on the woman in order to steal her beauty.
I bear the stain of endless lies. I guess I've learned that love can die.
Now, this could be seen as the speaker saying, in the aftermath of the relationship, the former lover is telling their mutual friends mistruths about the relationship, falsifying their time together in an effort to paint him in an unflattering light. We'll say fluorescent tube. But I think what's more likely is that Tate is speaking as himself, saying that people have lied about him online and in the media, and now he has to reconcile that part of who he is. That public perception has been tainted by all of the horrible things said about Andrew Tate, such as the things he's done, the words that he said. You know, it's horrible, horrible things about him. You know, it is cruel to accurately show who a person is.
I stole the things that made her kind. She won't act right. Made up her mind.
Again, the speaker admits fault. He's stealing from her, taking without consent and taking without giving. But we see the consequences of this action. Now the woman is no longer acting right. But by placing this after the previous admission, it's not a stretch to think that the woman's actions are a result of the things that the speaker has done. She's made her choice about how to act, but only after having her kindness and beauty taken away from her. And maybe it's because I just saw the remake, but I'm getting Little Mermaid vibes from this. You know, spoilers for a movie that's a decade older than I am. Ursula steals Ariel's voice and then gets to use it. So does the guy get to steal her kindness and beauty, and then he's kind and beautiful now? If you steal someone's kindness, that seems like kind of a waste, because you're not going to steal anything else from them. You're kind now. And you've also got this mean person who you stole from. At best, they'll just steal the kindness back from you. Despite his mistreatment of her and the way she's been acting, he still calls her love.
But she can see that I'm not fine. I guess they lied. Love isn't blind.
She can see love isn't blind. This is the first time I will give him credit for using a literary device. Is it particularly good? No. But he did use one. Congratulations, Andrew. But I do have to take points off because it makes the love can die line from earlier way funnier. If love is a real person. I just imagine a 36-year-old sitting down, you know, quill in hand to write some poetry, and only then being like, oh, people can die. It's not until we're halfway through that the speaker admits he's not okay. And it's not even actually an admission. We only know that he's not fine because the woman can tell that he's not fine. It says a lot about our society.
Now she won't give me what I need. Won't respect the values of my creed.
After I stole from her, she won't give me what I want. What the heck? The values of his creed is a reference to Andrew Tate's 41 tenets. I don't know why he picked that number. Where he says that men are supposed to be strong and life is supposed to be hard and suck ass, and the worse your life is, the more of a man you are. I really like this one that says, I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. Which just seems like objectively bad business advice. Get bought out by Bill Gates? No way! That guy has sisters, and girls have cooties. None of the tenets have commas in them or any punctuation at all. But maybe that's a stylistic choice, and being difficult to read is just a quirk of Andrew Tate poetry.
It was my greed that made hearts bleed, but now I dream of being free.
We're gonna talk about the greed line once we're all the way through. But right now, the obvious question is, what does he want freedom from? We haven't seen him trapped by anything. Is it whatever's making him feel not fine? Is it the woman? Is it his vices, the greed, the stealing? Don't worry, it's the woman. Even in his poetry, the evils of life are all feminine.
No more obligation for the chore. I'm living one leg out the door.
Really going 90s stand-up on this one, calling the woman the chore. You know, the old ball and chain. He just takes and takes and takes from her, and then goes, oh, I sure am glad to be rid of that parasite.
Yes, it's my fault that her heart is sore, but I just don't want her
It's such a childish conclusion to a poem that feels like a high school assignment he'd been putting off. Just furiously typing words into Rhyme Zone and figuring it out from there. Except I know he didn't do that, because half this poem is slant rhymes. What, are you gonna tell me that eyes and cried rhyme? No, they don't. Fine and blind, lies and die, not dies, die. The whole thing is incredibly unflattering on the speaker in a way that could be about how prescribed masculinity hurts men too. It was my greed that made hearts bleed should be the confession and realization that makes him want to walk down a different path and be a better person. But it doesn't. Instead, it makes him want more when he's already just taking from the people around him. He does admit to his own misdeeds and say, my B, but that doesn't inform any of his actions moving forward. And if the her in the poem isn't a person, I'm not saying this poem is about one specific person. I just mean that when he uses that feminine pronoun, he's referring to a woman. But if it's not that, then what the fuck does I stole perfect beauty from her eyes mean? Really, what does it mean if it is about a person? I mean, either way, the line is clunky. When you have lines like, I stole the things that made her kind, and, but I just don't want her anymore. It's hard to reconcile those two things and come to any conclusion other than you are the problem. Even in his own art, where he can make literally anything happen, Andrew Tate is mean to women and then discards them when they don't do exactly what he wants. That's like misogyny 101. To go back to his tweet where he says, all lost when my Instagram was deleted. No, they weren't all lost. You know how I know? 'Cause you quote tweeted one of them to make this tweet. Your poems haven't all been lost if you're responding to one of your poems. And in the replies, I found another one.
Every time I leave, there's tears in her eyes. She knows how I'm earning, and she wants me alive. The struggle is finished, but I still only strive. Understand it's how life taught me to survive.
Don't worry, every one of his poems is spoken in the same cadence, with the same format, and the same rhyme scheme, and the same themes, and the same subject matter. There will be zero deviation. This makes his 51 poems just like Shakespeare's 154 sonnets. That's just a little bait to get the Shakespeare fans mad and leaving their favorite sonnets that are not about love in the comments. I like sonnet 19, where he yells at time.
Every time I'm moving, there's a strap, no doubt. I don't respect the law, so why travel without?
Either he's saying he travels without the law. Yeah, laws apply to places. They have areas of jurisdiction. If you drink a beer in England when you're 19 and then fly to California, they're not going to arrest you for drinking that beer in England. He just doesn't get this because he moved after allegedly committing a crime. And they can still go after you if you've allegedly committed a crime and then just left the area where you committed that crime. So either he's saying that, or he travels without a gun, which is very cool, very swag, and why I also do that. I did not bring a gun to San Francisco, and I wish that people would stop asking me about it.
It's rained and it's poured, I even built up a spout. The withouts want my buckets, and they're living in drought. Every time that we fuck, I crush my soul into yours. We mix pain and insane with Eiffel Tower tours.
No. I'm not gonna kink shame you for throwing in some consensual pain, but it's gotta be consensual. And given his history, I have concerns. Or inviting a third, how progressive. It's so sex is conquesty, which I know is his whole worldview, but that's bad. That's a bad way to look at sex. It doesn't help that he's not particularly clever or witty or good at writing poetry. Oh, you're crushing your soul into her, Andrew? That's what we're gonna call it? Got it. You know, I bet if you did any foreplay, her soul would be much more open to being crushed. You know, this might be accurate though, because I can imagine that sex with Andrew Tate is absolutely soul crushing.
I collect cash quiet behind double locked doors. Without profit to make, there wouldn't be wars.
Yeah, 100%. Andrew Tate calling out the military-industrial complex and Dick Cheney. Unless he thinks that profit is good and therefore wars are okay. But surely that's not his stance.
Money has no value, so I give you time with the dawn.
Money has no value. And that's why you should pay me money to teach you a course on how you can make money so you can get women with your money. And I can live a lavish lifestyle also with your money. But other than that, it's totally worthless.
You're in love with my brains, obsessed with my brawn. Enemies won't stop now the guns have been drawn. I just hope you still love me after I'm gone. Top G.
Whoa. 'Cause like he's not gonna be there anymore. You ever think about that? The theme of the poem is just, wow, I'm Andrew Tate and I'm so cool. Which is a bad thing to write a poem about. It's shallow. It's incredibly shallow. All right, let's look at a third Andrew Tate poem. They're not gone. I must be the greatest archivist historian of all time because they were all gone and now I've brought 3 back from the dead. They're so easy to find.
We had it all to lose, we had it all to gain. I know it hurts when you hear my name. There's no sun without rain, no joy without pain.
We have got to teach Andrew Tate how the water cycle works. There is sun without rain. In fact, there's no rain without sun. You want to know what sun without rain is? That's a desert. This is my impression of Andrew Tate finding out about the state of Arizona. No. Let's look at a 4th poem. I'm starting to think that these poems are just like cicadas, and Andrew Tate lacks object permanence. So they're loud and annoying, but when they go away, he can't see them, he forgets they exist.
Moon was missing from our darkest night. I planted 1 billion stars, but it didn't feel right.
You know when someone who's not your sibling says mom instead of my mom, and you just look at them, and you always knew there was something off, something about them that you didn't really like. But now you finally have a concrete piece of evidence. That's how I feel about Andrew Tate calling it moon. It's the moon.
Heartbroken punches, call them mood swings. I'm the king of the ring, with heartbreak to bring. You dealt with the dong, I deal with the ding.
That's brilliant. If Andrew Tate was trying to be a parody of himself, you deal with the dong, I deal with the ding. Perfect line. Perfect line to make fun of Andrew Tate. Because, you know, one of them is the start of a grueling task that you have to spend months preparing your body for, just for each go to last 3 to 5 minutes. And the other is Andrew Tate boxing. It's also funny for him to paint himself with this little sad boy brush, because that's so not his brand.
Should I get you back or make you cry? Make you forgive me or fuck up your life? It's gonna be a battle, but I'm built to supply, and I'm training to fight in the heat of Dubai.
My friend Haley said it best when she said, he thinks that poetry is when it rhymes. Obviously, a person's beliefs inform their art. If you need an example, look at any piece of art. So I'm not surprised that Andrew Tate's poems are about chest thumping and dominance and having disposable sex with women. We know what he believes, and these poems just reinforce that belief. But a lot of them are also about being heartbroken and relationships ending. With those heartbroken punches, it feels like that first poem, where it should be about how masculinity hurts men too. He's sad, but he feels the only way he can get out of it is by fighting. So much of the imagery in his poetry is about boxing and about fighting. And it's really telling that he feels most of the time like he's fighting the other person he's in a relationship with. Obviously, people are gonna have fights. That's part of being alive, being in any relationship, if it's romantic, if it's platonic, if it's familial. Come on now. But it feels like he doesn't do anything with his partners other than fight them and have sex with them. And that's a terrible, terrible way to go through life. That's incredibly sad. It gets back to the question of, do heterosexual cis men even like women, or do they just view them as objects? Because if all you're doing is fighting and fucking, That's not like something you would do with a person, or at least not a healthy thing to do with a person. It's also just funny to be hyper masculine in the way that Tate is and to write poetry, a medium about looking inward, often about romantic love or the quieter moments, and about putting words together to say more than what was literally said. And none of those are things I associate with Andrew Tate. He is blunt and does not appear to self-reflect and is so against love and relationships being life-affirming. And that's why none of this poetry works for me. It doesn't challenge anything or describe a feeling in a unique way or use language interestingly. It's stuff that a 13-year-old boy who already loves Andrew Tate would find cool. And it makes it ring empty. Let's hear one last stanza.
I show less than I love, but I miss her. Thinking back to the last day I kissed her. She left a sore on my heart. There's a blister, but the next best thing, that's her sister. How is that not beautiful?
I can just imagine a middle schooler losing their mind to that. Her sister? Whoa! He thinks that poetry is when it rhymes. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you wouldn't mind leaving a like or subscribing, I would really appreciate that. I hadn't seen anyone talk about this specifically. I mean, I've seen people talk about Andrew Tate, but I've never seen anyone talk about his poetry. And it's so out of left field. It just doesn't feel like something that he'd publicly want to talk about because it's so up against the rest of his branding. And maybe I'm giving him too much credit trying to critically engage with the poetry of Andrew Tate. Maybe I am, but there's a lot of it. There's so many poems he's written, and so much of it is all the same. It's crazy how all the same it is. I think he's a bad person, and he's also a bad poet. Like, we're not going to get a collection of his works anytime soon. If I don't edit this quickly, then happy Pride, everybody. I hope you're having a good Pride month. Shout out to the queer community and my community. Yeah, I should be back streaming on Twitch again soon. In fact, I'll probably stream whatever day I upload this video. So I'm probably live right now. If I am, there's a comment, there's a link somewhere. Again, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.